Welcome to Ford in Vegas, the true crime podcast with two friends who hate each other. I'm Ford.
And I'm Vegas.
Was that better for you, Vegas?
That was better.
He busted my balls before we went on,
Yeah, I did.
before we started recording this. And he said, don't start the show with, this is. I was like, all right. So I just came up with that. Welcome.
Yeah, every time. This
Welcome. That's not. It only sound like an 80s radio DJ.
No, yeah, you sounded like a.
We are spinning the tracks.
You sounded like a jerk off.
If you're watching on YouTube,
thank you.
Hit the subscribe button and don't forget to like the video. Also, if you're on the go, you can subscribe to this show as a podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you're listening to the podcast, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And if you want to watch the show, you can do so at youtube.com/FV True Crime. That's the same on Twitter and Instagram, FV True Crime. And if you want to get this podcast ad-free, you can do so on our Patreon for just a measly $3 a month. Simply go to patreon.com/FV True Crime. And if you want to buy a shirt, you can do so. This very shirt right here that I'm wearing is for sale at shopfordinvegas.com. We always recommend the soft tee. Also, how soft is it?
It's very soft.
It's baby bottom soft.
Well,
and also, lastly, this show airs every day on blackjacktv.net. And you'll also be able to see other true crime shows at blackjacktv.net. There's a true crime daily channel. And you can watch us over there as well.
I was trying to screw you up, but you didn't fall for it.
I didn't flinch.
I was gonna just stare at you the whole time.
I wish you would have.
Yeah.
We have a lot to get to this week on the show. We're recording it a night early. I don't know if you're going to get it a day early, but we are recording it a night early.
If Ford does his job, you will.
And I'm glad that we're doing this a day early because two of the cases that we've been covering pretty extensively, both of the defendants were in court today on two different sides of the world. Well, of the country, I should say. But very similar in crimes, both involving murder. Vegas, we'll start with the Alex Murdaugh case. We covered this last week. He is, of course, the one who allegedly killed his wife and his son. Now, I say allegedly, even though there was blood spatter on his clothing, which would indicate that he was there at the moment in which the crime took place. He says he wasn't, but this case has taken some interesting twists and turns since we talked about it last week. Apparently, he lured the wife to the house where she ended up dying because they have been separated. And he sent her text messages to get her to meet him at the place. She didn't want to go. And she allegedly sent a text message to a friend that said that something seemed fishy. Vegas.
Red flag.
So we fast forward to today.
So hold on. Let's go back there for a second. Let's touch that before we go to today.
All right.
So last week, he says he wasn't there. He says that, he got a call and his wife and kid were dead. Now, now he says he still wasn't there. You got the blood splatter that was reported last week, but now you have text messages. Last time I checked, text message, unless somebody took his phone and texted her, then you pretty much got him dead to rights that he was trying to lure her to the house. The red flag that I see, if she texted somebody else, relative or friend, and said, hey, something's fishy. I don't know what's going on. You still went to the house and you brought your kid, or maybe the kid lived there. I don't know. But either way, if the kid lived there, then obviously he was already there. Maybe he came home during the murder. I don't know. But the mom, the wife went to the house, even though she said something was amiss.
I think he was watching somebody's dog because they actually found him like slumped like halfway in and halfway out a dog kennel.
The kid?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Somebody put a couple of bullets in the back of his head.
Oh.
Obviously the father. Obviously.
Well, I mean, allegedly.
Allegedly.
You can't say obviously. It's allegedly.
Well, it's obvious.
No, it's
obvious. It could still be allegedly.
But yeah, but
it's obvious that he did it.
Well, no, it's allegedly.
It's allegedly obvious.
No,
He's consistently inconsistent.
No,
that's what that's kind of what that.
No,
We're gonna
fight. We're gonna
wink.
Yeah, we're gonna say
allegedly.
No, he allegedly killed his wife and his son. He didn't. You don't know if he did it. Yeah, it's allegedly.
So he's in court today. So let's recap in case you're listening for the first time to not only to the show, but let's just say you're hearing about this case for the first time.
You've probably already turned us off because Ford's an idiot.
He is the former 14th Circuit Solicitor's Office prosecutor in South Kakalaki. His name is Alex Murdaugh, and he stands accused of trying to not only fake his own death, stealing millions of dollars from his clients, money laundering, conspiracy, drug trafficking, and the latest, killing his wife and son in cold blood last year, was denied bond on the murder charges earlier today in Colton County Courthouse. The decision marks the third time that Judge Clifton Newman has withheld bond in Murdaugh's case and represents yet another loss for the high-priced defense team. The evidence in this case is substantial, Prosecutor Creighton Waters said Wednesday. It all comes back to Alex Murdaugh. Both the prosecution and the defense agreed to deny Murdaugh's bond after a 13-month investigation by South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, or as they're known on the streets as SLED. The State Attorney General's office, the Colton County Grand Jury, indicted Murdaugh, a former attorney, on 2 counts of murder and 2 counts of possession of a deadly weapon in commission of a violent crime last week for the June 7th, 2021 shooting death of his wife, Maggie Murdaugh, who was 52, and the son, Paul Murdaugh, who was 22. The prosecution did not discuss any details of the case. The public still does not know why the state believes Alex Murdaugh killed his wife and son. The hearing Wednesday was centered on limiting the public's access to details about one of the biggest criminal cases in South Kakalaki history. Harpootlian and Waters both argued for a confidentiality order in the high-profile case, but Newman, who thus far has proven himself to be a judge who believes in the public's ability to access the court matters, seemed reluctant. It's a public matter, it's a public trial, Newman said, noting that such public access helps ensure a fair and impartial trial. Public matters will be public. Harpootlian told the judge that already information had leaked from the investigation, but that he saw no evidence that Waters made any extrajudicial statements. Anyone who reads this constant churning knows that someone is leaking, Harpootlian said, gesturing to the media box to the left of the courtroom. Murdaugh pleaded not guilty Wednesday. Shocker. Harpootlian said that his client believes he is innocent and is concerned, get this, Vegas, like O.J. Simpson, that the real killer or killers is or are still at large.
I mean, they could be.
A lot like O.J.
They could be.
That's why O.J. won't come here to L.A., because he's afraid of running into the killer, the real killer. No family members appeared to attend the hearing. Obviously. The section of seats behind Murdaugh was largely unoccupied. Believe it or not, He has no backing. He does have a son who's still alive, and even he doesn't want anything to do with him. Joe McCulloch, attorney for Connor Cook, was in attendance and sat behind Murdaugh's side of the courtroom. Murdaugh appeared significantly thinner. They don't feed you quite as well in prison as they do, say, out of prison. And his hair had been closely cropped. He was wearing a white linen shirt and khakis brought to him by his attorneys. After the hearing, Harpootlian and Griffin walked past a pool of microphones where 24 news reporters were waiting for a press conference. When a reporter asked Harpootlian for a comment, he said, quote, "I'm gagged," end quote. Not the kind of gag that you like, Vegas, but the gag where he can't talk. Yet Newman had not yet decided on the gag order. So he's already playing games. This attorney's already playing games. Through his attorneys, Murdaugh has denied any connection to the murders of his wife and son. On July 14, minutes after the indictments were handed down, he accused law enforcement of targeting him from day one and demanded a speedy trial within 60 days. Murdaugh's bond is $7 million. Hello. The disbarred lawyer, Murdaugh, is represented by Jim Griffin and Dick Harpootlian, two of the most expensive defense attorneys in South Carolina. Yet Griffin and Harpootlian have lost at nearly every single twist and turn throughout this saga. It's not a good start, Vegas. All they're picking up is L's. L after L after L. The Murdaugh murder saga has attracted consistent national and international attention since the murders back in June of 2021. So, just to give you a little brief recap on the Murdaugh family, there's 3 generations since 1920. 3 generations of Murdaughs have served consecutively as chief prosecutor of the 14th Circuit, which includes Hampton County, where Alex Murdaugh lived, as well as Colton County, where he will stand trial for the deaths of his wife and his son. Not only that, Vegas, but I did see this earlier today as well. In the same courtroom where he stands trial right now, there is a portrait of Buster Murdaugh Jr., who is Alex's grandfather and a longtime 14th Circuit solicitor, hangs in the back of the courtroom. How chilling. And we'll have that picture up for those watching on YouTube. How about that for poetic justice? His grandfather, his portrait is in the back of it's on the back wall of the same courtroom where he stands accused of allegedly killing his wife and son.
Yes. Well, I definitely think that, he doesn't think he did it. The evidence seems to point that he did it, especially if there's the text messages that he sent his wife to come to the house when he allegedly wasn't there, but you're going to say, come to the house, but I'm not going to be there. That doesn't make a lot of sense. I don't text you and say, hey, come over to my house, and then I'm not there.
There's Alex Murdaugh is surrounded by 5 deaths right now. So aside from the double homicide of his wife and his son, authorities have identified 3 mysterious deaths, all tied to Alex Murdaugh and his family members. Their names are Stephen Smith, not the one from ESPN, Gloria Satterfield, who we talked about last week, his former nanny, and Mallory Beach. So in 2015, Stephen Smith was found murdered in the middle of rural Hampton County Road. His death was mysteriously ruled a hit and run, despite the fact that investigators found no evidence of a vehicular homicide. The Murdaugh name is mentioned 40 times throughout the course of the investigation. However, because the case was steered off course initially, it was never investigated properly by the Highway Patrol, and it went cold in 2016. On June 22, 2021, the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, SLED, opened an investigation into the death of Stephen Smith based on information gathered during the course of the double murder investigation of Maggie and Paul Murdaugh. Authorities have still not said what they found to link the 2 investigations. his murder is still unsolved. Gloria Satterfield, she's the nanny who died in 2018 after allegedly falling at Murdaugh's steps at Moselle. After her death, Alex Murdaugh stole $3.6 million from Satterfield's wrongful death settlement against him and his insurance companies. The family didn't find out about the entire settlement until they hired attorneys Eric Bland and Ronald Richter in late of 2021. So, in fact, put that one in your brain there, Vegas. Do you understand what I just read? How bizarre. Her family had no idea that there was a wrongful death suit that was settled, and he stole the money?
Well, that sounds like that's an issue with the judges that presided over that.
So SLED has opened an investigation into Satterfield's death and financial crimes related to her death settlement. Recently, Satterfield's family gave SLED permission to exhume her body, so we wait for that. In 2019, that was the thing where last week where I said I would be willing to bet you, and you didn't want to bet me. You remember that?
No. What I remember is I did remember you mentioning that you would want to bet.
I would say let's bet that he was involved. That he was involved.
Yes, and what I said was I would love to bet you. You backed out because you realized I was going to be right, that her death was ruled an accident.
Gotcha.
And you said, no, I don't want to do it.
Gotcha.
And I said, okay, let's do it.
That
And
must
you
have
said
been
no.
that's been the second podcast that we did.
No, that was the podcast that we did.
Oh.
People heard it.
Okay. So in 2019, 19-year-old Mallory Beach was killed in a boat crash near Palace Island, South Carolina. The boat crash is often referred to as Ground Zero for those following the case closely because it was the first major event that thrust the legal dynasty into the media spotlight. The legal dynasty being the Murdaughs. Paul Murdaugh, who's the son. He's the son that got murdered by his dad, Alex. So Paul Murdaugh was charged with 3 felony boating under the influence counts in that crash, which could have amounted to over 30 years in prison had he not been murdered last year. The state grand jury is still investigating the boat crash case to find out whether or not the Murdaugh family obstructed justice in the chaotic aftermath. The Murdaugh family faces a slew of active lawsuits in the boat crash case from victims seeking justice. So the kid was facing 30 years. But his dad took care of that. Wink, wink.
Well, allegedly, the kid could have killed himself.
Right.
Or had, yes.
So there is, I believe I counted, or I saw the number. I didn't actually count.
Yeah,
but I believe I saw the number is 80 different cases going on right now, or counts, cases, all these different things. It's like, the number's like 80. That this guy is dealing with right now, Alex Murdaugh.
Well, I mean,
double homicide, just another.
I mean, the odds are he's going to get convicted of something.
Well, yeah.
Is it murder, or is it embezzlement, or is it something? He will get convicted of something. We will find out what.
The odds are pretty good.
Something. If he gets off scot-free, as they say, why do they say scot-free? I never understand. But if he gets off scot-free and doesn't go to prison at all for any of this dude, he might as well go, allegedly murder somebody else, because this guy is Teflon. Everything slides off him.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to get away with it.
I don't think he's going to get away with something. The chance of him getting convicted are very good.
I mean, let's get real. The chances are he murdered his wife and son. We just don't know why he murdered his wife and son. I said last week, maybe this is kind of like a Clinton deal. Like the wife knew where the bodies were buried and he felt the walls were closing in. Desperate times call for desperate measures is what I said last week. So, I mean, maybe we'll find out. Well, we're probably never going to find out because this guy is going to always maintain his innocence. Even when he's serving a life sentence for doing it, he's still going to maintain his innocence. So we probably will never find out the real reason why he did it. But he definitely wink, wink.
He'll probably do a plea deal. Is what he'll do.
Yeah.
Yeah. He'll say, okay, well, if they present enough evidence that say he killed his wife and son, they'll say, okay, listen, we know you killed your wife and son. We have this evidence. We also know that you killed this, or that your son killed the boating accident, and you're being sued. We also know this and this. And then he's going to say, okay, yes, I admit it. Or they're going to say, well, if you admit these other crimes and we charge you with those, we'll work out a deal where you're just life in prison without the death penalty and blah, blah, blah. And they'll say, sure, let's go. And it'll be fine.
Yeah. I mean, they're asking for a speedy trial. So I don't know if I don't know if he's there. I don't know if there's going to be a plea deal. If they go to trial, there's no plea deal at that point, right?
No, they can always plea it out.
Okay. They could always.
As long as the jury has not decided.
Well, as it stands right now, they want to go to trial and they want to do it quick.
Well, yeah, because they think that they're innocent, and they might be. We don't know yet. We're gonna find out. He definitely didn't kill his, maid.
Well, they absolutely killed the nanny.
No, he did not.
Yeah,
no, he didn't.
I would believe you if he didn't steal $3.6 million.
Well, my question:
you would have a leg to stand on, Vegas, if he didn't steal money from her, the family, or the whatever. Like, if that didn't exist, then I'd be like, okay, yeah, maybe it was an accident. But no, she died, and then he stole $3.6 million.
So you think that this attorney said, you know what, for whatever reason, I'm going to kill my maid. I'm going to push her down the stairs. I'm going to make it look like an accident. The coroner's in my back pocket. They're going to say that it was an accident. And then I'm going to make this hocus pocus. Somehow the family sues him for a wrongful death.
But they didn't.
Well, but somebody did. You just don't get a wrongful death lawsuit.
The family had no idea until they found out.
Somebody did, or he forged their signatures, whatever the case. Somebody went to court and sued him.
Oh, we forgot to mention that this guy also tried to pay somebody to kill him in a shooting. We forgot to mention that. He tried to set up his own death.
Yeah.
In the middle of the road. We forgot to mention that part.
Yeah.
This guy he just needs to lock him up and throw away the key.
If he's guilty.
Throw away the key.
If he's guilty, we'll find out. He might have killed his wife and son. I don't think he killed the nanny. I think you're way off base. I think you're wrong. I was willing to bet last week $1,500. I'll even up it to $1,500.
I'll take your bet.
No, you already denied it.
$1,500 sounds like we got you. You got a deal.
I don't know. You were very adamant. Well, your mic's going out. I can't hear you. What you said? You're not going to take the bet?
I said I will take that bet every day. You want to bet $1,500 that they're going to dig that body up and they're going to come to a conclusion and they're going to tack on a murder charge for that nanny. I'll bet you $1,500.
Nope.
You got a deal?
Well, yeah, in conclusive evidence, he will be not charged with that death.
Okay, and if he's not charged with it, I'll give you $1,500.
I want it in cash.
On this show.
I want it in cash.
I'll give it to you in cash.
In cash. $100 bills.
On this show, I'll give you $1,500 in cash if he is completely free of any wrongdoing in that nanny death.
He'll be scot-free. I'll be $1,500 richer with you.
Pound it.
And I also did not win the Mega Millions last night, so I'm still poor. So I will need that $1,500.
Fine.
When you lose.
All right, here's a true crime podcast that we think you guys should check out.
Reverie. The state of being pleasantly lost in one's thoughts. A daydream. But what if those daydreams turn to nightmares? Reverie True Crime shines a light on the dark tragedies that have happened and are continuing to happen all throughout the world. We interview and work with families to bring awareness to forms of injustice. We explore the depths of cases from around the world to include missing persons, mysteries, and more. Reverie True Crime is found wherever you're listening to this podcast. Remember, you don't have to live in fear, but stay aware of your surroundings. Stay safe and take care.
All right, so we have an update on Vegas, your favorite yoga instructor.
Yeah, because we're continuing on her case.
Kaitlin Armstrong.
We need an update button. Update.
Only because she was in court today. And of course, she pleaded not guilty.
She didn't do it.
She did not do it.
Nope.
A lawyer for the Texas yoga teacher accused of gunning down a romantic rival claimed cops seemingly ignored a tip about the slain victim's ex-boyfriend. Kaitlin Armstrong's attorney, Rick Kofer, also claimed that Armstrong and her boyfriend's home was vandalized on the night the 25-year-old pro cyclist Anna Mariah Wilson was murdered. Kofer bashed investigators in brief remarks to reporters following Armstrong's first court appearance since she was busted last month hiding out in Costa Rica. Using a fake name and her appearance drastically altered by plastic surgery, yet she is innocent.
She was scared for her life. Someone was coming after her.
Why did the Austin Police Department seemingly ignore a tip about the former boyfriend of Miss Wilson, Kofer asked, claiming the cops presented inaccurate and misleading information to obtain an arrest warrant? Did the inexperience of two key officers assigned to this case play a role in its apparent mishandling? Who vandalized the home of Kaitlin Armstrong and boyfriend Colin Strickland on the night of Wilson's death, and why, end quote. Kofer didn't elaborate on his claims, of course, and didn't take questions from reporters, of course. He left the courthouse as reporters called out, "Why did you leave the country?" And "Why did you go to Costa Rica?" Which I guess is the same question, asked a different way. But before he took off, he claimed some information reported in the news was inaccurate and pledged, "There's a lot more to the story than has yet been heard."
Can't wait.
End quote. Defense attorneys requested a speedy trial in the courtroom where cameras were not allowed. Prosecutors pushed back, with an attorney for the state telling Judge Brenda Kennedy, "We don't have all the evidence to give them." I don't know what kind of privilege this particular defendant has to cut in front of all these people who have been waiting for trial, prosecutors told local TV. Kofer responded by telling reporters cases shouldn't be indicted if prosecutors are not prepared to proceed.
Oh, so she's not prepared yet.
Yeah, the defense.
Little wrinkle in the
or
case.
the prosecution.
Little wrinkle.
Cops believe Armstrong shot Wilson on May 11 in a jealous rage. If you guys don't know, the yogi was questioned by police, but then she sold her Jeep for $12,200 to CarMax. Well, they'll buy your car even if you don't buy theirs. And then she left the country. Because that's what innocent people do. They flee the country.
She was scared for her life.
And they get plastic surgery. That's what they do.
She was scared for her life, apparently.
But that's apparently what you do when you're innocent. You flee the country and you get surgery.
Obviously.
Mm-hmm.
She did.
Armstrong is being held in Travis County Jail on $3.5 million bond. No word yet whether or not Vegas is going to help her post it. She is due back in court on October 19 with jury selection in her trial beginning October 24. So for all intents and purposes, Vegas, we should not be talking about this case until October.
Thank God.
But we do have an interesting little clip from a gentleman who was interviewed. Apparently, Kaitlin Armstrong was dating when she was on hiding out in Costa Rica, upper left. And we have audio, an interview with the guy who went out with Kaitlin Armstrong while she was hiding out as an innocent party in the murder of Mo Wilson. So let's cue that up and let's play that and hear this guy, what this guy has to say about his encounters with Kaitlin Armstrong in Costa Rica.
I know her as Ari. Don't really know Kaitlin or the face that seen it like the Kaitlin. Ari was a strange person, but I met her right outside the tattoo shop, Good Life Tattoos, and her friends were getting tattooed, so she was waiting out there on the bench, and I was out there having a beer in the lounge, and it became apparent to me that she was trying to have a conversation, trying to get to know me. So then I started talking to her more and more, and then we ended up sharing numbers, and we're gonna hang out later, and we ended up hanging out a bunch of times later. And we went on a couple dates, but she said that she had just been through a real traumatizing breakup, and she hadn't healed from it yet, and wasn't ready to get close at all. So we were just being friends, and wanted to go out at different places. We went out to a bunch of different spots, but most of the time she wanted to kind of be a secluded spot, not a lot of people. And I didn't put any of it together. You wouldn't imagine it, but after it all happened, went by, and you hear what she was really doing and running from, it made sense why she like didn't want to be seen, why she wanted to go to real secluded places, and it all kind of made a little more sense. They were using the old pictures, and I was like, oh, I don't know her. But then afterwards, they did the updates of the pictures of when she had her face lift, her face change, and I was like shocked. I was like, what? That's who I've been hanging out with this whole time, and yeah, it sucks for the family that lost their sister and daughter, and that's really not cool, and I feel for them. And I didn't get to meet her. The person I met was Irie, is Katie.
So I pick up a couple of things from that guy's interview. One is she got the surgery before she got down there because he said it looked like a completely different person, which is what we've said all along.
Or she just got down there and had the surgery right away and didn't meet him.
True.
Because she was gone a month.
True. 43 days, actually.
I would think she would have got it down
Probably
there.
got it down there.
Yeah.
And then didn't meet him until after the chopping of the face. But you could hear the genuine like shock in his voice when he sees the old pictures and he knows of the new Ari Martin that he thought he knew.
Hey,
Very interesting.
Hey, but you know what? How lucky is this guy?
Right?
Right? Like not only did you because obviously she changed her look and she didn't get as hot as she was.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming because they saw each other, I'm assuming he got to bang her. So
wow, oh, you think he
I would
well
assume.
no, because I think didn't he say in that one, or it could have been in a different clip that I saw, but he leaned in for a kiss and she backed out. And that's when she said that she had just gotten out of a traumatizing relationship.
I don't know. She said, that unless he did say that they were,
that might have been a different clip.
He might have said, because it was a little low and a lot of background noise in that clip. He might have said that they were remaining friends, him and her.
Yeah,
that could
I
be
think
what
he
he
did
meant.
lean in for a kiss. I do not think he got to lay the pipe.
Oh, well, then he's not as good as he should have been.
He's not as lucky as you think.
Because what I was going to say is he's a lucky gentleman to screw a fugitive. Yeah.
How many times you get to F you a fugitive?
I don't know. I've never screwed a fugigitive that I know. Screw a fugitive.
Yeah.
That I know of.
Try saying that.
Yeah, screw a fruit.
Now you're kind of jealous, right? You'd be jealous of him if he, because Caitlin's kind of your girl. She's kind of turned into she's your girl here. You're backing her up. You don't think she did the crime?
I know. I know.
You think she's innocent?
She's got a killer personality.
Yeah. Too bad I got rid of the rim shot.
Yeah.
Audio soundbite
yeah,
there.
I mean, if she ended up doing it, but apparently they ransacked her house with her boyfriend.
Yeah, who did that?
So somebody did that.
Well, here's the thing. We know the Grand Cherokee was there. We see it.
Yeah.
On a Ring camera.
Mm-hmm.
We know that she then goes and sells she's done a lot of things that say she's guilty. She's done more things that say I'm guilty than I'm innocent. If we ran a checklist,
but the defense,
it would be pretty one-sided. You understand that, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. The defense has to have some. Here's my counterpoint. Yes, she's done a lot of stuff that makes her look guilty, but the defense has to have some sort of proof that this happened, right?
That what happened?
That the people ransacked her and her boyfriend's house or something. So, because why would you wouldn't say this in a court of law if you were if the defense is completely lying, because they have to prove without a shadow of a doubt that she's innocent, or I should say the prosecution has to prove that she's guilty. So you have to have some sort of proof evidence to present. Hey, look at the house, look at the pictures, whatever. My thing is, where is the boyfriend of both of the chicks? Where is this guy? Because he's nowhere to be found.
I haven't heard his.
So-
I mean, we've heard his name, but we haven't heard from him.
So he might be a witness for Kaitlin Armstrong to say,
Can I
yeah,
get a witness?
yeah, it was. Maybe he did do it. I don't know. We'll find out
So,
by the end of the year for sure.
well, yeah, we will cover this extensively in October when she goes to trial.
Mhm.
So last week, we have another update here. We talked about the quadruple murder-suicide in Michigan.
Mhm.
Vegas, you were pretty adamant that the judge should suffer no consequence for denying the woman an order of protection, and then
Unless something else came out that he was presented that he should have ruled otherwise. But just from last week, I don't think he should face any repercussions.
so we found out that Tyranny Savage filed for a PPO, which is a personal protection order. I'm assuming that's what that means. On June 24 in Roscommon Circuit Court. In Tyranny's own words, an expression of the fears and threats she felt from her husband and eventual alleged killer, Bo Savage. Tyranny stated to the judge that she had recently filed for divorce and that her life was changing. Oftentimes, big moves or the decision of one partner to leave the other is one of the highest times for lethality, said Joanna Conanen, Director of Law and Policy for the Michigan Coalition to End Domestic and Sexual Violence. Court records say a previous partner filed a personal protection order against Bo Savage in 2014. The way Tyranny filed the PPO may have impacted the judge's decision. Tyranny told her lawyer she was actually moving on. What she didn't tell her lawyer that she was filing for the PPO. Instead, she filed it. Filed it out is what it says, and faced the judge on her own. Judge Troy Daniel was appointed to the district court bench in April. Typically in Roscommon County, PPOs are handled down the hall in probate court. So Judge Daniel has only handled a handful of PPO requests in his time, and he denied it. For seasoned lawyers, it's something that they see all too often. Had someone like myself in that court with her at that time, I'm not walking out with her in complete fear for her life and no remedy, Fireberg said. When it comes to PPOs, many lawyers and advocates to end domestic violence agree on two things. First, they're a very important tool, particularly for women to protect themselves, Freiberg said. And second, the system for getting a PPO needs to change. If I could craft a perfect way, every circuit court would have a legal advocate from a domestic or sexual violence program there who can help survivors file those PPOs, Conanen said. Had Tyranny known she needed legal help, she might have included in her letter more details of Bo Savage's past. The prior PPO granted against him years ago by a previous partner included an eerily similar letter, details of a lengthy record in the Roscommon court system, and included his criminal sexual misconduct conviction. What you run into in terms of problems is that many judges will not go outside of the very specific evidence that the complainant is presenting. They're going to limit their considerations to the proof presented. Advocates say Tyranny's situation and the end result are far too common. In some counties, the denial rate is upwards to 80%. It's a system that needs to change. They argue it needs to be easier for survivors to be heard and to be understood and most importantly, to be protected. A survivor is in the best position to know whether or not their partner is capable of violence and capable of hurting them. Threats of murder and suicide need to be taken really seriously. And that's what I was kind of saying last week, Vegas. Is I feel like this judge didn't do his due diligence, didn't do a good enough job to find out who really Bo Savage is. And if he digs just a little deep, just a little, digs just a little, puts in just a little elbow grease, he sees that not that long ago, there was an order of protection filed against him by his previous relationship. Maybe Tyranny Savage is alive and survives this. This judge is a schmuck.
No, the judge is not.
A schmuck.
No, the judge is absolved of everything you said last week. The fact of the matter is, he doesn't have to go beyond.
But he needs to.
No, but he doesn't.
But it's okay if he did.
But because it's in a trial.
But it's not a trial.
Okay, but it's a hearing. Same difference. When you go to a grand jury and you do the hearing, the judge, if it's not presented, if the defense or the prosecution doesn't present it to these people, they're not going to know about it. She fucked up. She screwed up and didn't include this. She didn't get her lawyer involved. That was her fault. Now, yes, it ended terribly, but the judge does not need to go farther than what she presents. If she would have presented this other thing and the judge denied it, well, now you have something coming because you knew about it, but he didn't know about it. Okay. No judge is going to go judge is going to go home. No judge is going to go home and look over their cases and be like, okay, this one. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Because when 5 o'clock comes and your job and you're done, do you do extra work? No, because you don't get paid for it. So when the judge does extra work on his off days and not get paid for it, that's supposed to happen. But you're not supposed to work any other time because you're not getting paid for it.
Well, I never said any of this.
I'm just saying in general.
So
I'm just in general, people don't want to work extra unless they're getting paid for it.
So but the point still stands that there needs to be kind of a fix to the system, because 80% of these PPOs should not be getting denied if the woman or man says, hey, when I'm at home, this person threatens to kill me. Again, there is no harm. See, and this is the key thing here,
but
Vegas.
There is
no,
harm.
This is the part that you're kind of missing.
There is harm.
She's not going to court saying, put this man in jail. And the judge is going, well, I really can't put this man in jail because I don't really know if he's doing it. She's saying, he wants to kill me. I need help protecting myself. See, he's not getting thrown in jail. He's not getting executed. Nothing really bad is happening to this guy. All you need to do is say, you know what? Okay, we're gonna grant you your PPO, and then we're gonna set a date in 30 days from now, 60 days from now. We're gonna come back in here. You're gonna come back in here. He's gonna come back in here, and we're gonna see where we stand. That's all you really need to do. You see, because she's not going to that judge and going, please throw him in prison. He's such a bad, bad boy. And he's going, well, I can't put him in jail.
But you will. If he violates that, you get put in jail, you miss work, you miss time, you miss everything.
Then he doesn't violate it. Then don't violate it.
But things happen.
But at the end of the day,
but
Vegas,
if she went over to his house,
right.
Yes, but that doesn't matter.
It does matter.
No, hindsight is always 20/20.
But in this case,
it doesn't matter.
She was right.
The judge acted appropriately. The judge did it based on the evidence that he was given. She's the one who screwed up. She should have got a lawyer to get this done.
But at the end of the day,
you can't just give out protection orders because then everybody in the world's going to do it.
No, that's not true. That's
yes, it is.
That's like saying you can't make marijuana legal because everyone's just going to go and smoke it.
No, so you're telling me that out of the 80% that got denied, you're telling me that all 80% should have been enforced? No, I bet you.
Who knows?
I bet you 15% of that 80% that's been denied probably should have been enforced.
But at the end of the day, it's not really harming anyone.
It goes on his record. It goes on his employment record.
But if we meet 60 days later or 30 days later.
That doesn't work like that.
There could be changes.
But it
to the
doesn't. You go to
system.
prison for 10 years on a wrongly convicted charge. You still have years to expunge that from your record. It's not that easy. You can't just give this away. Yes. Should she have had an advocate? If she went to do this, should she be appointed like a court-appointed lawyer? Yes, probably. But at the end of the day, the judge did nothing wrong.
He was an inexperienced in handling PPOs.
Okay, but that was his job.
That's a fact.
That was his job.
It's still a fact.
But he went to what was presented.
At the end of the day,
because she even the attorney that even came out and said,
well, if she would
have came out and said this and talked about his past, he would have granted it.
But here's the deal.
But she didn't.
They've also, we just talked about it. They read it. There needs to be a change in the system.
Yeah, but you don't go after this judge for doing his job.
Well, no, obviously no one can go after the judge. We can sit here and have a debate about whether or not somebody should, and you and I will agree to disagree. But at the end of the day, they're also saying the system needs to change. And that's my ultimate goal in even talking about this story to begin with, is to address that the system needs to change.
I'm curious, if you're going to argue, I want to know how many of those 80% of get denied actually ends up in killing or physical harm.
It doesn't say, but it says all too often was the quote,
yes,
that this result is far too common. And that's the problem. That's when you know you have a problem. When you deny and then people end up dead. I mean, the mother ends up dead in this whole thing. The child ended up dead in this whole thing. And they really have nothing to do with it at the end of the day. 3 people lost their lives. 3. So even if he just killed the wife, okay? Yeah, she fucked up, as you said. She didn't bring a lawyer with her. She fucked up. Now she's dead. But then the mother also got killed, and her son also got killed. Just a lot of lives were lost that didn't need to be lost. Now, go ahead.
You don't know even if he did grant the order of protection, that doesn't stop anything.
No, but at least it wasn't denied, and then she ended up dead.
Here's the problem is everybody focuses on, well, it was denied, so the judge should face some sort of consequence.
No, I said that.
Well, you're not the only one, I'm sure.
Can't let him off the hook.
Yeah, you're not the only one, I'm sure.
Some kind of slap on the wrist. Maybe next time he doesn't handle the PPO. I mean, I'm okay with that. How about it? Let's just make sure that he doesn't have to do these again, because he's already inexperienced with it. They all know that. So maybe I'd even accept that. All right, cool. You know what? I don't live in Michigan.
Yeah, but when you're a judge, you're a judge. Okay, you have all the same. You're not going to a class to do PPOs. Okay, when you're a judge and you're a judge, you're a judge. So he was he might have been inexperienced as being a judge. I don't know. You can't just be a judge. I can't go to school to be a judge. He probably was a lawyer or something first, and now he's a judge. So he has, he did what the best of his ability with the evidence provided. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough. Whether she, screwed up or not, obviously, she died because of it.
So another update here on a story that we had been covering on Florida and Vegas. The Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg has finally dropped the controversial murder charge against bodega worker Jose Alba, with his office conceding yesterday that there wasn't enough evidence to prosecute the case that sparked widespread outrage. The DA's office filed a motion in Manhattan criminal court to dismiss the case against 61-year-old Alba, who fatally stabbed an ex-con who attacked him behind the counter of a Hamilton Heights store on July 1. The slay charges brought by Bragg's office prompted an uproar. We talked about this on the show in previous episodes. Following an investigation, prosecutors concluded that they couldn't prove that Alba, quote, was not justified in his use of deadly physical force, end quote. We even watched the video, which got us a age restriction mark on that video when we posted it up on YouTube. Austin Simon, who was 35, a lifelong criminal and ex-con, attacked the man behind the counter. The man responded, stabbed him. He ended up dead. And Mr. Alba was arrested and charged for murder. And now that has been officially dropped, Vegas. He is in the clear, as we thought would be the case.
If anything, the family should sue the district attorney and the city for having to go to Rikers Island for as long as he did. Because I don't know about you. I've never been to Rikers Island, nor have I been to jail or prison. It's probably not the greatest thing to experience.
No, Rikers is not the place where you want to go.
Yeah, and we all knew from the start, like, this is one of those things you charge him and you let him go home. But no, it
Well, I think they should definitely get their money back.
Oh,
right?
well,
the
they will.
Yeah,
They will.
Yeah, they'll definitely get the money back. But yeah, no, I mean, there's money, there's time. How about that vacation?
Yeah, he missed a trip. He's in the news.
They should pay for his vacation.
They should do a lot of things they won't do.
The next time I'm in Manhattan, I'm going to stop by that bodega. I'm going to go see if Jose Alba's working. Say hello. What we like to do on this show, if you're first-time listener, first-time viewer, we like to end the true crime portion of this podcast with a solved cold case. Because we always feel like Vegas and I, as you know, are two friends who hate each other. And we may have some heated debates when we disagree. But we could always agree on that a solved cold case is a good case. And we like to end the true crime portion of this podcast with a solved cold case. And we have one. For 46 years, the answer to who killed Linda Sue Beekler, good luck, remained a mystery. But with the help of DNA lifted from a coffee cup earlier this year, investigators were able to charge a Pennsylvania man with the stabbing of the 19-year-old woman in 1975. Beekler's aunt and uncle found her body in her apartment on December 5, 1975, with 19 stab wounds, lying on her back with a knife sticking out of her neck with a tea towel wrapped around the wooden handle. She had just come back from the grocery store, investigators said, and bags from the market were left on the dining room table. Over the years, detectives from Manor Township Police Department and the Pennsylvania State Police conducted investigations into the homicide, following multiple leads and clearing dozens of people. The district attorney's office said evidence was sent to several labs and multiple suspect interviews were completed, the DA's office reported. Genetic genealogy analysis used DNA from the crime scene and ultimately identified David Sinopoli, 68, as a suspect, according to the DA's office. Sinopoli was arrested at his home on Sunday without incident. He was arraigned and is being held at Lancaster County Prison without bail. This arrest marks the beginning of the criminal process in Lancaster County's oldest cold case homicide, and we hope that it brings some sense of relief to the victims' loved ones and to the community members who for the last 46 years had no answers, Lancaster County District Attorney Heather Adams said in a news statement. In 1997, the Lancaster County District Attorney's Office said it submitted evidence from the crime scene for DNA analysis, and a male DNA profile was lifted from Beekler's underwear. 3 years later, the DNA profile was submitted into a national database known as CODIS, C-O-D-I-S, to see if there was a match with the known criminal offender. Typically, if a person isn't a known offender, they wouldn't be in the CODIS system, and therefore no match would present itself, which was the case here. In January of 2019, the investigation gained new traction after it was taken by the Lancaster County District Attorney's Cold Case Unit, which enlisted the help of Parabon Nanolabs months later to analyze DNA obtained in the case. Sinopoli was identified as a possible person of interest, C.C. Moore, researcher with Parabon Nanolabs, said at a news conference on Monday. Because there weren't any individual genetic matches to the suspect's DNA, Moore had to try a novel, non-traditional route to narrow down the potential suspect. Given Sinopoli's Italian ancestry, Moore studied geographical and immigration patterns as well as associated surnames and determined the person linked to the DNA sample had ties to Gasparina, a town in the Calabria region of southern Italy. This is going deep, Vegas.
Yeah.
There were very few individuals living in Lancaster at the time of a crime that were the right age, gender, and had a family tree consistent with those origins. So this allowed me to prioritize candidates whose descent was determined to be exclusively from families within origins of Gasparina. Sinopoli and Beichler had lived in the same 4-unit building of the apartment complex at one point, Adams said in a news conference, but did not specify when. Other than being neighbors, Adams did not elaborate on how the pair may have been connected. Investigators kept a close watch on Sinopoli through surveillance, and on February 11, quote, investigators surreptitiously obtained DNA from Sinopoli from a coffee cup that he used and threw into a trash can before traveling at the Philadelphia International Airport. So they're tailing this guy, Vegas, and they grab a coffee cup from the Philadelphia International Airport. There has been a never-ending pursuit of justice in this case, and this has led us to identifying and arresting Sinopoli. Linda Sue Beichler was on the minds of many throughout the years. Certainly, law enforcement never forgot about Lindy Sue, and this arrest marks the first step to obtaining justice for her and holding her killer responsible. What a story.
Yeah, that was a deep dive in genealogy right there.
And they did, I mean, think about that. They're doing all of this just for this one woman. They went to these lengths to get them.
That's why you don't do My Ancestry or anything like that, because then you put your DNA in the system. And he wasn't in the system, but, you know, they knew his family heritage. So they had his family tree. They found him out. Then they limited however many there were in this area to an apartment, and they shared an apartment. Probably nobody else shared anything in common with her. So they said, well, it had to be him. So we'll see if it actually ends up being him. But obviously, you know, DNA does not lie. So if they matched it with the coffee cup, I would assume he's going to go to prison.
All right. And Vegas, this is your new favorite part of the show. It's your mugshot of the week. Maybe not.
No.
All right. So
It's frozen. Yeah, completely frozen.
Explain what happened with this mugshot.
Yeah, so this mugshot, I have a picture on my phone as well, so I can give you some more details with this. The mugshot, it comes to us from Maricopa County in Arizona. And this lady, her name is Sherry Cozy. Sherry Cozy was arrested last week on assault charges. Now, when you look at this picture, the first thing that you see, she has a black eye clear as day.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus. So my question, when I first saw this, she got arrested for assault. How did the other person look? Because she's getting arrested for assault, but she looks like she just got beat to hell. She's got a bruise, maybe another bruise. She's just not having a good day, but she was the one arrested. I don't know if the other person was arrested. It did not say, but that's why I picked this one for the mugshot of the week. I thought it was interesting because she got her butt kicked and she's just arrested for assault. But now,
all right, so let's go to the quick hits.
Yeah, we're going to just go right into the quick hits. Those listening on the podcast will get Rage and Rob's Music Minute. But we're going to go on the quick hits. Ford, have you ever done an Airbnb ever in your life?
No.
Okay, neither have I. But they're very hot these days. It's all the rage, supposedly. But if you've ever stayed there, which we haven't, but some people listening might have, there's a good chance you've run into the host who will basically leave you a checkout list, asking you to clean up after your stay. It's never really made sense why some Airbnb hosts will make their guests clean up after their stay, and they charge a substantial cleaning fee, which I never understood. If I'm paying $300 cleaning fee for staying there a week, why am I cleaning up after myself? It makes no sense. But one host took to TikTok, the old TikTok, to explain why he never leaves his guests a long list of checkout chores, and how he wants to make the process for you as smooth as possible. The TikToker named John Michael Thomas explained why he makes the checkout process easy for his guests. He said, quote, "You're on vacation. You're not a housekeeper. Those hosts who do this chore stuff drives me insane," end quote. He explained he puts his checkout process instructions on the back door, and the instructions are, quote, "Close the door," end quote. And then in small italicized letters, it says, quote, "Yep, that's it. That's all you need to do. Try to remember to lock it," end quote. So I read that because it's like, how the heck, like, if I ever stayed in Airbnb and you charged me to clean it and then told me to clean up after myself, yeah, you can go F yourself on that one, buddy. This sounds something like that I would do, except I probably wouldn't attack my girlfriend. But apparently a man angry with his girlfriend about something, is a guy in Poland. He managed to pick up a hot slice of pizza and hurled it at her. The pizza hit her in her left cheek. The restaurant, and it was in a restaurant. The restaurant's manager called police, but the couple left before cops showed up. They took the rest of the pizza with them.
Good.
So, yeah. So not only did he assault her with a hot pizza slice, but they took it to go before the cops showed up.
If it was like a New York style, it didn't really hurt. But if it was Chicago style, it might have gave her a black eye.
It could have.
Yeah.
It could have. But it was in Poland, so I don't know. I don't
You don't
even
know.
I don't even know what kind of pizza they have in Poland.
No, but you could assume that they probably have a New York style and Chicago style. You would assume.
Yeah.
Somebody over there opened up a pizzeria.
I would assume.
So black eye if it's Chicago deep dish, little love tap if it's, a New York slice.
Yeah. Well, here's just something I found funny. Kids right now, the average time on TikTok is 91 minutes a day. In other news, go out and do something with your life.
What if they're out doing something with their life and on TikTok?
Well, then whatever they're doing isn't very good then.
Okay.
Because I don't know about you, but if I'm going out doing something, I'm not going to be on TikTok unless I'm sitting at a restaurant, obviously. Okay. But still, 91 minutes a day, that's a lot.
It's a lot. It's an hour and a half for those of you who don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So in Germany, because we love our Germany stories, police were called to investigate reports of screams. And then when they showed up, they found a 76-year-old woman in her apartment practicing her yodeling. I would call the cops if someone in my apartment practiced yodeling as well. Now, here's the final story. It's something close to my heart. So do you, Ford, want to know a quick way to see if you're at risk of a heart attack?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, according to the American Heart Association,
the AMA,
which we all go no, it's AHA, American Heart Association. AMA,
why
American Music Awards?
Yeah.
AHA, okay. The circumference of your waist tells you, basically, according to the guidelines that they have published, men who have a waistline of 40 inches or less and women who have a waistline of 35 inches or less, of course, that's for the average man and woman. And your specific guidelines may be a little different. So basically what they're telling you is we're going to put out these guidelines, but it pretty much doesn't mean anything. So if you're fat, you're going to have a heart attack.
Okay, good. That's what I'm saying.
I mean,
if you're under 40, you're okay.
Supposedly.
I'm under 40.
Yeah. If you're an average male.
I'm good.
I mean, you might not be average. I don't know. You might be a little taller than average. I don't know. So,
I'm good.
Whatever. You're good. Your doctor says you're a little obese. Take out the red meat by 7 pounds. You've listened to him, so maybe you are regular. You're good.
If you're watching on YouTube.
I am also under 40.
If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. If you're listening on the podcast, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. You can get this podcast ad-free. Patreon.com/FV True Crime. You can follow us on Instagram and on Twitter at FV True Crime. Also, shopfordinvegas.com if you want to buy a shirt and help support the show, like the one I'm wearing right now. Also, this show and other true crime shows air every day on the True Crime Daily channel over at blackjacktv.net. For Vegas, I'm Ford. We'll see you guys next week.